Hi everybody, welcome to the Keeping It Real Reality Check Show. I'm doing this today while I'm actually waiting to go in to see my dentist. I'm sitting here at Veterans Park in Grand Haven, Michigan. There you go. All right, little memorial. Well, anyways, it's a beautiful day. It's the first one that we've had since winter started. It's kind of nice, a little chilly, but not bad. Anyways, today I'm going to talk about something that's not your typical conspiracy theory subject, and that's the Nephilim, who they are, and what their influence was on society and the world back in the ancient days, 6,000 years ago, and what their influence in today's society is. If you really want to know what's really going on and who's controlling the world and has since the dawn of man, you're going to want to research the Nephilim. I'm going to spell that for you. It's Nephilim, Nephilim. Also, another keyword for you to Google would be fallen angels. Okay, and then once you get a basic understanding of who they are, and just so you know, they were angels that, for whatever reason, and there is a reason, but for whatever reason, they fell from God's grace many years ago, and they got kicked out of heaven, and they were sent to earth. And when they were on Earth, they actually mated with women. They found them attractive, and they actually mated with them and had children. This is biblical, and it's not just biblical in the Christian Bible. It's in many religions and cultures about some ascended masters that came from the skies and taught, educated, and ruled over early man. So it's not just a Christian thing, guys. It's almost every culture and religion on the planet has that story to tell. The Mayans, the Phoenicians, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, even the Romans and everybody else. It's just that nowadays the whole concept or the whole belief, or at least the worship of these God figures, these God men, or people who believe they're God, or people who worship these Nephilim, has been pretty much kept in the dark, in remote places in the woods in California and Bohemian Grove and things like that. So, but to go back, when the devil tempted Eve to partake of the tree of knowledge, the devil was obviously kicked out of heaven for that. And while he was down here, he obviously found Eve attractive, woman attractive, and went back up to heaven and told approximately 200 angels. Those angels are named in the books of Enoch, which were actually left out of the Bible, but I would advise you to check out the book of Enoch as well if you wanted to get the names of the angels and what they did in heaven before they were cast down. So the devil goes back up to heaven, and he tells these angels about women and how attractive they are, and so they leave their place in heaven, and they kind of like swear an oath amongst themselves to come down to heaven, come down from heaven and mate with women. And it was because of that sin that them doing that God cast them out of heaven, and they spend the rest of their days, or at least their earth days, here on earth. And here they have influenced society. And a good way to try to put one and one together to make two with that is you look at the earliest civilization known historically is the Sumerians. And the Sumerians were, it's kind of where man went from Neanderthal man to kind of an advanced civilization with government, agriculture, and education system, currency, and writing. Kind of almost happened overnight. And at the same time, this is also when mankind started to worship other gods, not the creator God that most religions have. And it's at that key point in civilization that the Nephilim started to taint the bloodline of God's creation, Adam and Eve, with their blood. They were so pissed about getting cast out of heaven that they spent, now 6,000 plus years trying to keep us from going to where God has prepared us for. So, but I'm digressing. It's kind of hard. You got a lot of years to talk about. But you go back to the ancient Sumerians, and they were a huge culture. I mean, they grew up. They were actually probably the first world government And of course, war started at that point as well. That's actually when mankind was taught by these fallen angels how to make weapons, music, all sorts of crazy things, and that led to warfare on the planet. It also led to men worshiping these well, I'll call them lesser gods. They were actually just fallen angels, but not gods. And so, um, and then you can trace them actually all up, to the Phoenicians, and the even the Japanese and the Mayans. They all had these descended masters that came from the skies and taught them. So they were all over the globe and all throughout time and history, and you can spot them quite easily by their temples and their worship of these beings other than God. Athens and Greece, the temples there. That's really a good place to start making connections with our society today. The Romans as well. The temple structures is the same. The gods are actually still the same. I mean, you can still go to the White House today and look at the top of the White House and see the goddess Minerva sitting on top of the dome. And you have to ask yourself, in a country that was created with God in mind, why do we have this goddess sitting on top of our dome? Same thing with New York Harbor, and many of our state capitals have these gods and goddess statues all over the place. Liberty and freedom are also goddesses. And if you go to the U.S. Capitol, you see Mars. You got the Washington Monument, the Egyptian obelisk to the god Horus and Osiris, and there's all these ancient connections. And most people don't know that the U.S. Capitol was actually known originally during its construction and right after its construction as the Temple of Liberty. And this is actually Nephilim, and there's a society of men who wish to be gods themselves, go to heaven without believing in God, to have an eternal life through immortality, using technology. They want to live forever, because they know they're not going to get that gift of immortality. They don't want to have to believe in God to do it. So I guess all these years, millennium, they've actually sought out to do exactly that. And so I know this is getting a long video, and I'm going to have to get off to my dentist here pretty quick, but just a few touching on some subjects, Nephilim, fallen angels, and kind of you can track them pretty easily throughout mankind's history as far as governments and kings and god kings and history. The Bible's a good place to start, but almost any cultural book of history will tell you about these beings. So I guess I'm going to leave you at that, because I really do got to get Google the Nephilim, the fallen angels, and then check out the Athenian gods, the Roman gods, and make the architectural connections that are their buildings and make them with today. And then Google the movie Bohemian Grove, Dark Secrets, and you'll find that there is actually thousands of men nowadays, powerful, influential, military, economic men that meet in secret places in Northern California, and they worship, with pagan rituals, giant wooden owls, which the owl symbol is a symbol of the goddess Minerva. So, anyways, Google those subjects. Let me know what you come to find, and I'm gonna do more. I know it's a whole lot to think about. It sounds really crazy, but if you really want to know who controls our world and the evil that's in the world, then you're going to want to touch on those subjects and check those out, because it's a lot more than just bankers and presidents that have gone bad. It's beyond that. It's true evil. So, anyways, this is Mike Schwalik, keeping it real, and as always, peace.